So these are the pendants I'm going to be making in this tutorial. And these are the canes we're going to be doing. And they're pretty cool looking and just a little different. That's not a cut on my finger, that's just some red ink. So this is the distorted back, which I still like. I like actually a lot. And this is the tight circles. So on that. And then here's another one I did that I put on the chain with more of a distorted side, but I really liked this distorted side. So that's what it'll look like. And I'll show you in this video how to make this. Okay guys, love you. Oh, also, I still have projects that I'm planning on doing coming up for Christmas. So I'll still be posting here and there, but I'll still be posting for the next few weeks at least. And then after that, I may slow down. So if you don't see a video from me for a couple of weeks, it's not because I'm sick. It's not because anything's major is going on. It's probably because I'm painting. Okay? Hello guys, it's Katie. So I've been on a circle mode lately. We made the other day with some jelly roll canes. We made a couple simple round pendants that you guys seem to really like. This was just a scrap one that I haven't finished. We did that color combination that was very earthy, and I can't find the other one though. These were my little scrap bin to finish, but I can't find the other one. So we did that one. We also have done this one here with circles. So I want to do some more circles, and based off of a pretty simple jelly roll, but kind of take it into a different way. Now I've never done this and I haven't seen a video on it, so I'm not quite sure if someone else has, but I'm pretty positive someone else has. I mean, it's very rare to do the first time in polymer clay. But I made this one here. This one has ecru and turquoise with white, but I made a pendant from it, and I'm like, it's a little too... I haven't finished this, of course. I just baked it. But I'm like, I need some more colors. So I'm going to make another one. So I have scrap colors here, which is what I'm going to use. I have this kind of shimmery green color. I have this kind of shimmery silvery color. I have, actually this is kind of shimmery too, this blue color. And then I have also this kind of dark navy blue color. These are all scraps. So I think I'm going to do these two together, and I'm going to do these two together, and they're all going to be white on the inside. So this is a really, you could make a blended roll, you know, have like a Skinner blend and have a light or a dark on the outside, however you want to, just like we did these ones where we did a Skinner blends. But with these, I'm going to stick with basic colors. So I conditioned these, and then I rolled them into sausages. And all we're going to do is roll them into a long sheet, or into a long snake, I should say. And we want it roughly both colors that you're using, or however many colors you're using, about the same size in the snake, but it doesn't need to be perfect. So I'll get it out to about that. And then we'll do the same thing with this one. I want about the same amount, so I'll just kind of cut it even. Okay, and then all we're going to be doing now, you could measure this to get even amounts. So say I cut it in half, right? And we'll cut this in half again-ish. Camera's in front of my face, so I can't really tell where half is. And then maybe we'll do it one more time. And I'm not using the blade side. It would help if you use your blade side. And then we're just going to stack them so they're not no colors the same one next to each other, but it doesn't need to be perfect. You can have double colors next to each other. It really won't matter. We're just going to want a variation of color. Let's see if I have an even amount to do this. Oh, look at that. I do. Okay. So now we're stacked, right? I'm just going to squish it from all directions just to bring it all together. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to flatten this way. Now we're looking to see this part, because if we're going to roll and we're going to be looking at this part, all we'll see is stripes, where I'm going to want layers to see this part, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. But we're more focused on this end, okay? Not the long end. So I'm going to roll it out because I need to put it through my pasta machine, and it's way too fat right now. So I'm going to roll it by hand. And everything we do in a pasta machine, you can do by hand. It just is obviously more work. Just more handwork, but it can all be done. Okay, so now we have this in a sheet, and I'm going to roll it through on the thickest setting of my machine. And I did that lengthwise, okay? So again, I'm still looking for this end, not the long end. And then we're gonna cut this and stack it. And I think I'm only gonna do it once. Whereas when I made this other one here, I did this a couple times. So I cut it and I stacked it, and then I ran it through my pasta machine and cut it and stacked it again. I think I'm only gonna do it one time this time. See here? Let me get it together a little bit better. Just roll it so I get that air out. Okay. So what I did last time was I rolled this through again, cut it and stack it. I did it a couple times. I'm going to roll this through one more time on 0. Just elongating it. So I ran it with the skinny, okay, just so it came together. Now what we're going to do is cut this, because if I back this, say I back this in a layer of white, right? And we back this and we roll it up right now and we cut into this, all we're going to be seeing are the stripes, okay? So let me just cut off an end just so you can kind of get the point here. So if we make a jelly roll from this and we back this with another color, all we're going to be seeing is that, just stripes. And I want to see the varied, like a varied pattern on this end. You see how it's more varied? Whereas on this end, it's just stripes. So, and with a jelly roll, you roll it like this, and then we're going to be cutting slices out from this end. So that's all I would see. But how do we get it so we're going to see this end? So the way I did it, and this may be a more difficult way, but I don't know, this is the way I'm doing it, is I cut this into strips. So I'm going to cut it in half, somewhere in half, roughly in half. Okay. And then maybe we'll cut it in half again, roughly. Okay. And now we have a bunch of these ends, and we're going to stick them together in a row like this and kind of smush them together. Pick it up and kind of smush the other end together. And definitely, if you don't know what a cane is, do some searching on YouTube. Polymer clay cane. There's tons of videos on them, and that's pretty much where I learned the basics from. Okay, so now we have, oh, even though I just pulled it apart, I should have used my blade. Katie, you should have used your blade. Unstuck it from the table. Now we have a row that has this whole varied pattern. So when we roll it up, we're going to be able to see that pattern. Okay, so now we need to just back this with some white. And now also what I did was, usually you'd wrap the solid color on the outside. Well, I wanted this on the outside. So maybe I should just cut this scrap off just so it's all about the same even of a strip, even though it doesn't really matter that much. And this will make another cool gray scrap. Okay, now I'm gonna get some white out because I'm gonna do them all in white. Back them all in white. So let me get some white out and conditioned into a kind of a longer strip. Before I do that, so this, with this one, right, that we just did, that's on setting 0, my thickest setting of my pasta machine, which again is the same thing on here. So the chunkier you make your layers is going to be the chunkier your pattern's going to look. And then the white that I put in here was on probably on a setting 3, I believe it was. So I might take that down actually to a 4 and just make the white a little bit thinner, but I still want it fairly chunky. So let me get this white into a sheet and rolled out on a setting 4. And when that's done, I'll be right back. Okay, so I have the white rolled out on a setting 4 on my atlas, and we're gonna lay this guy on. Oops, it came apart again, but that is fine. Stick it back together on a backing so it'll actually give us some support. Okay, and I'm going to cut off my excess here. But I don't want to get any color in my white is what I'm trying not to do. So I'd rather leave my light white a little long. Okay, and then because I want the pattern on the outside, okay, let's see, so if I roll this in right now, I'm going to cut this at, do I want to cut it? Yeah, I'm going to cut this at a 45-degree angle away from the edge, so going out, let's see what that will give me. Yep, exactly. I had to think about it. And then we're just going to start rolling it over on itself. And the first one is kind of, you got to like just kind of force it up. Okay, and then we're going to be, and it may, your sections that you put together on the underside may want to separate when you get to rolling that part. That's okay, just force them together. Force them to roll. Just don't let them come apart. Just force them to go around each other. So you could have done the white on the outside and this on the inside. I mean, however you want to do it. You could have done black, another color. Okay, however you want to do it. That's your freedom as an artist to do that. Okay. Just going to kind of flatten it. Sorry, that's my washer going upstairs. And now we're just going to reduce. And I want to leave it quite big. This is the biggest one of this that I had. But I want to leave this one quite big. So with reducing a circle, you just use your pointer and or middle finger and thumb. There again are a lot of videos on YouTube on how to reduce. That's how I learned it, so check that out. We're going to start in the middle, and that way if there's any air trapped in here, we're going to push it up out through these folds rather than trap it in the center. So we're starting in the middle, mainly putting pressure in the center there. So I'm really just using like right here on my thumb until we get a slight hourglass figure. Just light taps each time. Tap, 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 tap. See, and now we have a waist. And now we're going to start from the middle and work up to the end. So we're forcing any air from here, hopefully out through the end. And you can feel it under your fingers, and then you know when to move up a little bit. You can just feel it. Okay, until the end's about the same size as your middle was. And then again, start back and flip it, start back in the middle. Oh, and I didn't cut my end. So now I'm going to have white showing off the end because I didn't cut it. I'll show you on the next one. I'm going to drag the gray over so no white is showing on the end here. Anyways, oops, I forgot. We should have cut it at another 45-degree angle if you don't want that white strip coming right out the end. That's okay. Sometimes you just gotta go with it. Okay, and then a gentle roll once they're all about the same size. Okay. And I think most of this is probably a good size, but I might go down one more. So let me take a big chunk of the big one off. So can you see the gray mixed in with the blue in there, or the green? And definitely sometimes you might want to use pretty heavy contrasting colors so you can really see the difference. Whereas these are pretty similar in tone, these two colors. Even these two might be, like this one could be darker or lighter and it might show up better, but I'm okay with that. And then this one I'm just going to reduce further, again by starting in the middle, working up to the end. Starting in the middle, flipping, starting in the middle, and working up to the end. And then I'll have two sizes of this one. And I could keep going. I could cut a hunk off and do another size, but I like the bigger ones better for this because I did smaller ones on this one. Actually, that one's the same size. I just cut it in half. So I have these three sizes for this one. So you can make as many sizes as you want, but I think I'm going to go with these two. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that one and that one. Okay. So I'll do it one more time. If you want to watch it, you can. If you don't, go ahead and end this video. Because all I'm doing in this video is just making these quick jelly rolls. And then if I do them in a project, I might show you. I might just make a project because it'll be very, very similar to that one we just did a couple of weeks ago with these canes. Though this is a stretched out one, but with these canes, it's going to be pretty much the same exact way. We'll lay the circles out. We'll use the Kemper cutters. Pretty much the same exact thing. But I'll probably make a video on it that way. Whoever wants to watch a video can watch a video, and whoever doesn't want to watch. I feel like in the comments, I feel like some people watch the videos only to learn, and other people watch the videos because they enjoy watching it rather than like watching a TV show. They'll watch someone crafting on YouTube. So some people are like, oh, I already knew that. You didn't need to do that. Well, okay, so don't watch it, you know? If you don't want to watch, don't. So at this point, you've already learned everything you're going to learn in this video. I'm not going to do anything different, just different colors here. So again, we rolled them out, and that could have been a blended roll. You know, that could have been a Skinner blend and rolled up. You know, rather than just solid colors, they could have been a blended roll, for sure. I don't usually fold them in half like this, but I've just started doing that to kind of help me find out where the center is. It helps a little bit. I could potentially just stack them opposite like this. It's very hard with a camera right in front of your face. And then again, we're gonna smush these down. Just to get them to come together, I'm gonna do all directions. You could use an acrylic block if that's easier on your hands. Good, and then we're gonna flatten it out. So it can fit through my pasta machine. And then run it through from this end to this end to make it longer on the thickest setting. Like that. And then you could just fold it over, but I get too much air when I do stuff like that, so I tend to actually cut and then fold it over. And maybe this one, I'll just roll by hand very gently, and we'll leave it at this thickness. Roughly at this thickness. I'll bring it down just a little bit to kind of make them merge together. Like that. So again, we're gonna cut it into strips. So we'll cut it in half. Cut these roughly in half, and then we'll lay them side by side. And that way we're seeing this pattern and not the lines. Maybe I'll get rid of this scrap because it's not quite long enough. And then flip it over and kind of squish these sides together. Now I think I am going to run this through my pasta machine now because it's a little thick. So if it'll fit in your machine this way, let me see if mine will. Oh, it won't. Okay, so I'm gonna go this way on setting 0. If it would have fit in from this side to this side, I would have just widened it, but it didn't. My machine's not big enough. So I'm going to get some white out again, and we'll back this. And maybe, you know, I did setting 4 on this one of the white. On this one, I did setting 3. So I don't know. You know, and that gives them slightly thicker and thinner white layers. So I could either do a setting 2 or setting 5 just to make it look a little different from each other. Or I might do them a setting 3 or 4 just to make them all uniform. I don't know. Let me see what it looks like first. So let me get some white again conditioned into a strip, and I'll be right back. So I did a setting 4 again. And just force it on there. Ooh, that white's a little dirty. And then again, just cut off your excess. And I'm doing it a little long. Again, I don't want to slice off any blue and put it in my white bag. Okay, so we're gonna cut this end at an angle. I don't know if you can see that well, but at an angle towards the blue side, because the blue's gonna be on the outside. Okay, and then if I remember, I'll cut the other end too. I should have done that, but I didn't on the last one. So again, we're gonna start forcing this end up. And kind of pull that angled blue up and around as much as you can. Okay, and then once you get a little lip going, start rolling it up. And because I rolled this blue sheet through my pasta machine, it should stay together fairly well. And then once you get to the end, if we want the blue, see, we don't want this white coming out. If I don't want the white coming out, I should cut an angle in towards the jelly roll like this. So at a 45 in towards your roll, right? Oh, no, opposite way. So again, out this way. Sometimes, see, so I did it in towards the jelly roll and I'm still getting a white line coming out. Sometimes you just have to do it to see it, and that's me. I have to do it. So I'm gonna, oh, I just did it that way. So I'm gonna go out. Yeah. And then that will bring the blue around the white like that. So no white is coming out at the end. Okay, so away from the jelly roll. Okay, and then again, we're gonna reduce it, starting in the center. Till we get a little waist like that, and then start from the center and work your way up to the end. And sometimes if the blue's not moving as much, you can drag the blue up a little bit or whatever. But I cut the white wide, so I knew I was going to have a little extra white waist. But I'll mix this in with my scraps and I'll get a light blue. Okay, flip it, start back on the middle. Again, work your way up to the end. So again, I'm just using scrap colors, but you could use whatever colors you want to use. You know, this might look cool with like a bright pink, a neon pink, and a neon orange with black. You know, like in your two sausages, do like pink and black. And then wrap it in white, or wrap it in black, or wrap it in bright neon orange, or I don't know. Play with it, have fun. I'm gonna pull it a little bit. I want it just a little skinnier than that for the large size. And because there's not a very complex pattern on the inside like a flower would be, you can roll to reduce some. Okay, I'm going to cut a good chunk of this off from my large piece, because as I reduce it's going to get longer again. That one's smeared a little bit for you. So it definitely smeared some, but you can see on the center coils what it's going to look like. See, it's pretty cool looking, huh? So then take a part of this, maybe this part, and we'll start back in the center. And this only takes a second when you start getting your clay moving. It doesn't take a lot to reduce it down quite a bit pretty quickly. This is how I generally reduce circles. I try not to get in the rolling habit, because I'll do that with a flower and then it'll distort. So I don't even want to get myself on that habit of doing that. So there's the next size we have. And I could even take this one down a little bit more if I wanted to. And have 3 of this one. And then these ends, you can just keep for scrap. So there's still some distortion there. So I would keep all of these as scrap here. These need to definitely rest a little bit before I use it. So I would roll this out and I could use this as a backing or a whole nother color, or whatever I wanted to use. Oh, that's distorted there, so I should cut that off too. A little bit there. And same with this color. It's still a little distorted there, but that's okay. See, and because I didn't cut this one on an angle, that's why the white's coming out. Whereas this guy, the white's tucked in, the end tail. So just really will depend how you want to do it. And then I'll mix these guys all up and I'll have a lighter color. So anyways, that's this very simple cane. A little bit more than a regular jelly roll, but still a very simple basic cane to learn before you start going into more complex canes. Okay, so wow, I'm shaky. That gray could have been a little lighter. And then again, this is the Primo Turquoise and Ecru. Okay, pretty simple. So next I'll probably just make a little project with it, a nice quick simple one. And but you can do whatever you want to these. There's kind of limit is your mind, you know, you create your own limits. So, you know, go ahead and have fun and do whatever you want with these and branch out. But I'll probably make just a very simple, you know, pendant like I did the other day. I'll probably make a non-distorted one and then stretch it out and make it more distorted like this. I can't find the non-distorted one, but I'm sure if you follow me, you've already watched that video from like 2 weeks ago. I can't find it. I don't know how. It's wet. I have like a jar, a little container here of pendants that I haven't resined yet. But I don't know, I can't find that one to show you. So anyways, you know what it is. It's the one I did the brown jelly rolls with. So I'll probably make that same pendant and I'll record it for people who need something to watch. But anyways, I will see you guys in that next part. Okay, so in part 1, I guess I'll say, we made these cool looking jelly roll canes. And this project is going to be very similar to this other one we did here. Okay, just with a different type of jelly roll. So if you already know how to do it and you're one that just watches tutorials to learn new things, this is not going to be something that you learn a new thing. It's going to be a project where we're crafting. So anyways, I'm going to attempt to show you my Lucy clay slicer a little better, but don't judge my desk. It's messy. It is what it is, okay? So ready? I'm going to pull you out. So this is the Lucy clay slicer, and it is quite big, and it's really hard to show on camera. So either way, you have this dial in the back, and that I wrote an F and a B so I can go front or back so I know which way I'm turning the dial. And I also put a blue mark on the dial to know when I make one full turn, okay? And that will give me a thickness of a full turn. I also have little quarter turn dials, so if I want to get them thinner. But in this case, I'll just be doing a full turn. The Lucy clay slicer has this back plate that you set the cane against, and the blades up here. These blades are super sharp, super sharp, so be very careful. So if we start off with 1, I'm going to have to back this up because it's too close. So I need to get my cane down in there. So I'm just going to twist it back until it's about good. And I don't know, I can't really tell if I'm on camera with this or not. Now, usually your first slice is not very good, but that is what it is. So let me just get it to where it should slice something off. And I'm going to use these messed up slices. So normally if you were cutting a cane on the table, you would roll it. But I find if I roll it, then I get one bad slice before I get a good slice. So I don't roll it on my Lucy clay slicer, but you will get even slices. So I'm going to go one full turn, bring it down, slice. And that's about the thickness of one full turn. Okay. So again, I'm going to go one full turn, slice. That's it. I know people keep asking to see it, but it's really not much to see. It does not come with the measuring plate on the bottom. That's why it was like, how do you tell where you're turning it? And the best way I came up with was putting the mark on that dial in the back to know, to get them even. So if you have different color metallic markers, like I could do a white mark and that would be a quarter turn, so I'd always turn it to the white. This is a blue mark, so I always turn it full around to the blue. I haven't needed thinner slices at this point yet because I haven't been doing like flower canes and stuff yet, so because I'm out of summer mode. But it cuts really nicely, and it, you know, it does its thing. That's what it's supposed to do. And you can get them even thinner than what I'm doing if you don't do a full turn. But a full turn works fine for what I'm doing today. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to cut a bunch of slices off. Now, the other thing it does come with, let me see, I probably have enough of that one, is if you have canes that are too small for this back plate to push it all the way up, they make this, I don't remember, angled slicer thing part, and you set it on the backrest so you can do littler canes, so like little pieces. Otherwise before you couldn't get your whole cane down. So I'm gonna move this up a little bit. Now this just props it forward, because before if you had a small piece like this you wouldn't be able to get the back all the way up to the blade. Let me just get one first slice off. That will be uneven, but I'll keep those. This one still may be a little uneven. So this little backrest, it's a separate buy, so they have to charge you for it, I assume. Well, obviously, I know they will. They couldn't just make it so you can slice your cane right down to the end. They have to charge you separately for a little angled slicer thing. So if you have little canes, or you're trying to use your whole cane down to the last little bit, so my cane is sticking in there, so I'm trying to hold it down. You wouldn't be able to use your whole cane if you didn't have that thing. But you can slice these by hand. I mean, you totally slice these by hand. And what's nice about this one, they have a mini slicer, but the blade comes down at an angle, so I'm sure it's going to squish one part more, the angled part more, like the blade comes down like this on their mini slicer. Right, right. So this part of the cane that it's slicing down into is probably going to get squished more. Now, I don't know that for sure because I've never used the angled one. It's a lot cheaper, but it's probably a lot cheaper for a reason. This is well made. It's a real pain in the ass to put together. And it was even put together, I didn't even have a correct hole here. This hole did not line up where it was supposed to go. So I had to have my fiance, like these two holes right here, this hole and that hole, do not match at all in the handle. So my fiance actually drilled a hole so it could fit because it didn't match and it came like that, wrong. And I put two together. I put one together for myself and one together for a girlfriend. And hers fit, mine did not. So I was like, well, that's stupid. You pay this kind of money and you can't even make sure it comes together correctly. And I'm not sending it back. I wasn't sending it back. Not for something like that where my fiance could just drill me a hole. But if it was drilled wrong somewhere else and I was putting it together, I would have probably needed it. I would have probably had to send it back. So I'll do one more quick thing and then I'll pause. So I'm just cutting all three colors I made. And keeping any of the uneven slices because I'm going to make a distorted one that I like when I stretch the cane out. I like the way that looks. So I'm going to keep any uneven cuts and I'm going to use that for one side of the pendant. So this is really easy to do, pretty self-explanatory. If you think it's worth it, great. If you don't, great. You know what I mean? You can do all of this by hand. But when you get down, I mean, if you do like a quarter turn, you can get these guys super, super, super thin. Like I can't do that by hand. I can't. So this just gives you even cuts every time. No matter how fat or how big. Because also the angled slicer, the mini slicer they have, can only go so big. This one, you could put a cane in that tall. From the blade up, you could put it in that, it would be that tall. You know, if that's as high as the blade goes, from here to here, you could put a big cane in this. But if you don't have, if you use the angle slicer, you can only put, I don't know technically what the size is, but you can only put a certain height cane in or smaller. Just because it doesn't have this kind of design where it goes up and down. Okay, so that's probably enough of my large canes. And it cuts smaller canes just as good. So I'm going to continue cutting canes. And when I'm done, I will be back and we will assemble this pendant. Okay, so I have all my pieces cut. And now I'm going to make my backing or a version. So I took the scraps from one of them. I think it was the gray and the green one. This one. And I mixed the scraps up. So, you know, like I said, you could cut these all by hand. It doesn't really matter your thickness as long as the thickness is about even for each one. So it doesn't matter if you go really thick or really thin as long as you try to keep them consistent. For the backing, I want a really distorted design, so I'm going to do different thicknesses. And I'm not good at slicing super, super thin pieces perfectly every single time. I mean, I usually do that where one side's really thin and one side's thick. That's where the clay slicer helps, especially when I get back into doing like flower canes where I have a translucent outer layer, and the thinner you can cut it, the better. That's when I'm really going to be using it a lot. Because I'm going to want nice thin slices for when you use translucent, so it can be as see-through as possible. So I'm just cutting random slices, some thicker, some thinner. The thicker they are, the more they're going to stretch. So I took that scrap and mixed it up, and I doubled a size 0. So I just folded it over on itself. So I got 2 layers because I really want to stretch this. Because I liked the way it looks stretched and distorted. So when we made the other ones, this is not stretched. I'm wearing one of the other ones I liked better, but this is a stretch version here. It kind of got cool and translucent in different areas. So I like that look. You may not. So, you know, do whatever you want to do with this. And you can do anything you want. There's really, you are your only limit. You're the only one that's going to stop yourself from doing anything. No one can ever stop you. You can, yeah, creativity is limitless. And you can do whatever, ever you want to do. So just enjoy it and just enjoy the process of creating. Just have fun. And just be a little wild sometimes and see what happens. So I'm just cutting random slices of different ones, different thicknesses and things. And then what I'll do is I'll take all the bad slices I got from my Lucy Clay slicer and we'll set it on this double layered one here. So I'm sorry, I'm running out of room. So let me take let's just lay some slices on here. And the washer's going upstairs. Sorry, it's Sunday, I gotta get laundry done. And these ones I'm going to overlap and, you know, do whatever. Just put them on there. We're going to really stretch the heck out of this guy. And if we stretch it enough, some you'll be able to see through underneath. So I'm just stacking them, layering them. Nothing's perfect here. This is just going to be, these are just bad cuts from the first cut I did, so they're just kind of scraps. So we might as well come up with a cool looking background with our scraps. So now we have a double 0 setting, a double layer of my thickest setting, and this on top of it. So I'm just going to flatten it out a little bit so it doesn't strain my machine too much. And already it's looking cool because it's stretching out. Now you can look and see if you missed any spots. So I might take another one of this light. Oh, see, I'm running out of the big one of that color. Stick him, let's flip him, let's stick him over there. Let me take a small one of that color. Just adding them in a few spots. Okay. And I'm going to get this down into, I don't know what setting, whatever I like, however it looks. So first I'm going to run it through on a 0. And then I'll bring it down through the settings to see what setting I like it at, you know. So let me, and usually I'll rotate it each time, each setting, so it's not distorting too much in one way. But even you can put it in on a diagonal too. You can put it in on the point. So let me put it through on 0. I'll probably put it in this way on 0. See, I like it stretched out like that. And then I'm probably going to take it down a 1 in the other direction. Which a 1's not very different, so let me go to a 2 in that same direction. See, and isn't that cool? You can see kind of that one underneath a little bit. So maybe I'll take a part of this that I like and cut it off, and I'll use that for one pendant, and then I'll keep stretching. Or a backing, you know, you could use that as the backing. And then I'll stretch this out a little bit more, so let's go down to a 3. And I did that one on a diagonal. See, I like it stretched out like this. I think it gives it more of an organic, not to say it's the Starry Night, but kind of like those swirls. You know, I kind of like that myself. I'm sorry, my washer seems really loud right now. But I don't like right there. So I'm going to take a really thin slice of one of them. Just a really thin slice. So it doesn't have much to distort. And I'm going to stick it on there. On that spot. Same setting. See? And you could even fold it in half and even go more with it, which maybe I'll do. Maybe I'll fold it in half and stretch it even further, just to see, because sometimes you can really, like sometimes I was just, the way I found out I liked this scrap looking like this from this one was I was just mixing up the junk canes, and I was like, wow, I really like the way that looks. And you can really see the layers of color that we put in there when you stretched out. Now that one's cracking a little bit. But yeah, I may use that as a backing. This one I'll probably just use for an actual pendant. Okay, now the other ones we're going to do the same way we did last time. I'm going to do it on a separate tile because I'm running out of room here. Okay, so in this case you will need some Kemper cutters or some micro circle cutters. They can even be these ones, about the size of your canes. Okay, so I have like a small, medium, large one. If anything, go a little smaller than your cane, then a little larger. Okay, and we're just going to begin laying them all on. So put one on and then go, okay, I'm going to cut, and I want to put a smaller one next to it, so I'm going to cut a little part out there, and then one of my medium, that's my medium size, so let's get a medium one next to this. Let's do, actually that's probably the size of, well, let me try to stick one of these in there. Yeah, that will fit, so that way it won't distort it, because we're putting it right in the crack. Keep these little pieces, those are good scraps. Okay, and then maybe I'll put a small one right here. And your blade can really help you pick it up and set it in there. Stop sticking to my finger. Just try to fix the shape of it. Okay, so just like we did last time, just cutting little circles out and portions out if you want, or no portions out, and setting it in. So let's see. Over here, let's put one of these blue ones. I could actually try to, he got a little flat on the Lucy clay slicer. See, I like using my blade to help me tuck it up in there. Because I can keep it from sticking to my tile with my blade until I get it where I want it. And then set it down. Okay, so let's see, let's put maybe a medium yellow over here. And you can cut like way into them, or just a little bit into them. You know, and whatever you want to do, really, honestly, it's up to your heart's desire and whatever you like. Okay, so I'm just going to create a sheet like this with different ones of these. And then when that's done, I'll be back. Okay, so now I have, I think, a big enough piece. I hope a big enough piece, we'll see. And we're going to just burnish it down by hand. And that way you can feel if any spots are really sticking up. If they are, just push straight down. Because this one, we're not looking for a crazy amount of distortion. The other ones we were. This one, we're not. So just push straight down if any are really up high before you start. And then just start rubbing. And it is cold down here today. It's 57 in my basement. It's like 12 degrees outside. It has been for a few days. So we're just going to start burnishing pretty much. You can do this with your roller. Not really roll it, just burnish it. I like doing it with my fingers the most. Because then I can really feel. And we're just trying to like merge them together. Kind of get them all into one solid sheet. The longer you do this, the more the seams will come together. I'm hoping this will be big. I should, before I go much further, I should actually see if this is going to be big enough for a cutter. Oops. Dropping all my cutters. I don't know which one I'm going to use. So I got to figure out which one I'm going to use and then see if it will fit. I like that one. So most of my cutters are from the Metal Clay Studio. Actually, my cousin, or my fiance's cousin, so my cousin-in-law, he just got a 3D printer. And I was like, oh my god, can you cut me? And I think he can make me cutters. I just have to design some designs. It's not that I couldn't do the 3D printer. Like, his was like a couple $100, but it's the fact of all the computer programming and designing it on there. I don't think I even want to, too much of a headache for me to mess with when I just don't want to. It would be cool to make my own. So I could draw him a picture of a cutter I want and he'd have to design it on his softwares and then go from there. Okay, so I'm just going to be burnishing this until I feel like it's nice and smooth. That looks pretty good. And so I ran out another sheet with the excess cuts that I have, a pretty thin one. So I will use this to put it on. See, doesn't that look cool too? I think it looks cool when you stretch things out a lot. I really do. Some people might go, no, that's horrible, Katie. Well, I like it, though I'm going to use this side for the backing. So let me grab my blade and we'll pick this up. off of the tile. And then I'll take this part. Let me find a part I like. I think it all looks cool. Okay, and with this part, we're going to want to lay it, because I'm not going to pick it back up. We're going to want to lay it really nice on our tile. Make sure there's no air underneath it. Because once I cut it, I'm going to leave it. And because these two parts of clay are raw, we don't need to use any Bake Bond or anything. I'm going to lay this on here as well. I'm sorry I'm kind of off camera because I still have all those slices up there. And we're going to lay this on, hopefully not getting any air in here as well. Gotta go up and change the laundry over. I have to work 5 days this week. Usually I work 4 days. I get 40 hours in 4 days. But this week I have to work 5 hours. So I'm going to work 50 hours this week. So I have to do usually I do my laundry on Tuesday, which is my day off. And I do Josh's laundry on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, so now that we have that laid together, we're going to fit my cutter back on here somehow. And you can take your roller gently and make sure there's no air in between them if you want, if you're not sure. Just kind of gently push it out. You could also gently burnish it like this. I mean, there's many ways to just go through and feel that it's adhered to the back layer. Now, because I'm resining, I'm not going to dome this, but some people, when they're not resining, depending how you finish, will put a piece of plastic wrap over it, and it will cause the sides to kind of round a little bit. I'm not going to do that because I like to resin my pieces. That's just a personal preference. Everything I do is all my personal preference, okay? It's not, you don't have to do it this way, and there's many other ways of going about things. This is just how I'm doing it. And maybe you like my way, maybe you don't. Okay, so we'll cut this out. Sure it's cut out really nicely. Oh, come on out of there. There we go. And it should have dragged the pattern down the sides. And then we have that distorted on the back. There. I'll have to trim up that side a little bit, kind of gouge the cutter into it. Okay, and then with this one, so this side is all, maybe, I have enough there to cut another one out of. Let me roll this out, hang on a sec here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this scrap, right, and just stick it all together. Okay, see, even that looks cool. I think even that looks cool. And then I'm going to take the rest of my slices. I could totally make another sheet, but I'm the only one going to be wearing this. And I still have more cane if I really wanted to make another one. But I don't need 15 of the same pendants for myself to wear. I don't like to mass produce them. My mother-in-law's like, you should sell your stuff. And I finally I think I got it across to her the other day. I always go, no, because I don't feel like making 10 or 12 or more of one pendant. And she's always like, well, they're so pretty, you should, you know. And finally I was like, yes, last night we did our Thanksgiving, and I was like, if I were to sell them, I have to make like 20 plus of the same design, and that gets boring for me. Like, I don't want to do that. This is my fun thing. This is not about making money. I spent 100 grand in school to make money, okay? You know, that's what I did. This is not about me making money. This is about me winding down and enjoying crafting. It has nothing to do with money. And I think I finally got it across to her. Okay, I'm going to run this through. So that's on a setting 3. See, isn't that even cool? Like, I really like when they're not all perfectly round, you know? I do. So even, again, even that side I really enjoy. I do. I don't know why. I'm like, what side do I want to have up? What side do I want to have down? Like, do I want this to be the front and that to be the back? Like, that looks cool to me. It really looks cool to me. Well, I need to back these two. So let me just take a portion of this, set it over a portion of this. I need another tile. Burnish these together. Cut one out of this. Let me push it over on my cutter so I can fit another one on here. Cut this guy out. This is a thicker one for sure. Oh, my camera just switched files, so it probably glitched for a second. So there we have that one. And then this one, I'll keep this scrap. This one, I need to back this one because it's got a stupid looking back. So I think I'm going to use this side for the back showing. So let me get some Bacon Bond. And you don't want a lot of Bacon Bond, but just a little bit, just to make it tacky. You don't want it to slip everywhere. That's probably enough. Because this piece is already baked. I already baked this one. Now let's lay this on. Let's see. Pushing from the center out to make sure there's no air in between these two layers. And what I usually do, lay it on some parchment, burnish it on really well. And then generally my cutters don't always fit. Oh, that one fit. But it's generally, oh, that one fit actually really well. They don't, so generally I'll cut it with my blade. But in this case, it actually did fit. I think that will be a cool looking back. And I'll just, this is actually going to be a thick pendant because I didn't plan on backing it. Take my finger and kind of smear it up. I'll trim these sides later. Just to kind of bond the two down. Or together. Just kind of drag it over on, because otherwise they're not completely merged, you know. I just like to, I don't know, can't get my words out, but this is what I like to do. Just kind of smush them over. I'll take my Dremel later and clean up any excess, but you could take your blade and run it across it now if you wanted to, but I tend to do it later with my Dremel. It's just as easy as doing it now or later. And that's our back. And that's the front just from that one I did. Get my fingerprints off. Get these guys in the oven. And they will be done. And then we have some scraps that I bet if I mix up will give me some kind of blue, that color, I bet you. Okay, so I'm going to get these in the oven because they're only going to go through this one bake, 275 for an hour, with a piece of non-wax parchment, paper, tinfoil over the top. And I will be back when that's done. I'll probably be back after I sand them as well, because I don't need to show you how to sand anymore. I've showed you a bunch of times. It's not that hard to figure out how to sand. I usually wet dry sand, and I go 400, 600, 800, 1000 usually, or higher, and then buff with my Dremel. Do want to show you what they look like before I sand them. So I backed this one. I didn't plan on backing this one, but I did back it. Diesel! Sorry, they're wrestling over a bone. One had one hidden in the chair. And the other dog wanted it. So stupid. Here's another one. This is the one we made. And it's back. And then here's that back. And that front. Okay, these are just made with the solid color ones. So I'm going to sand them. I just wanted to show you my sanding, what I've been doing when I've been sanding. Now you can totally sand these all by hand. I have a bowl of water here that has some sanding dust in it from the other day. But I have my regular sandpapers, but I also have for my skill sander that I showed you in my polymer clay bowl, I have my skill sander that takes Velcro pads. This is on my Amazon Ambassador page. I really like it. It is a little loud, but it does work well. And I've used these pads already a couple times. So I'm going to start, I think I'm going to start with 320. I've never used a 320 grit. I usually go to 400. 400 is usually my first grit I go to. But I think I'm going to do the 320 this time. So generally I dip it in a little water, get a little water on it. And I won't show you the whole process. Now this is kind of loud, so you may want to turn it down a little bit. So if you lived in an apartment, this thing may not work for you. But it does have a good amount of power. You don't have to do anything, you just drag it over. So it is a lot easier on my arm. Okay, ready? Turn it down if you want a little bit. Here we go. So your lower grits are going to get you your smoothness, and then you're going to buff up and shine up from there. So your lower grits will get rid of your lumps and bumps and kind of make everything all flush. Okay, so then I would do them all with the 320, take off the sanding pad and switch it up to my next grip. I kind of just wanted to show you that quickly. You could do it the sides as well with this. I tend to do it with my Dremel, but you could do the sides as well. So I'm going to continue doing these and go up to just about 1,000, I think is fine, because I'm going to resin them. So I'll go up from 320, 400, 600, 800, 1,000. Okay, I'm going to finish these off. So the reason why I bought this specific skill sander is because, one, it's small. Two, it's not an oscillating or spinning one. It's more vibrating because I didn't want to fling things across the room. And it's Skill, which is a really good brand. That's like brand my fiance has in his tools and stuff. So that's why I got this one. It's pretty small. It also has a filtration thing on the back, which helps suck up some of the dust particles. It's not a sticky sandpaper thing. It's a Velcro, which will help it stick better when you're dealing with water, even though the sandpaper can, I found, separate from the Velcro part, but only when it's really saturated. I've used those a bunch of times so far, probably 10 times. Now, in the initial package that I bought, it only came with coarse sandpaper, and it took me a while to find finer ones, which I did put a pack. It's separate from the Skill sander, but on my Amazon page, I put the pack of finer sanding grit that I found that will fit it. The problem, it doesn't have 600 grit. So I do the 600 by hand just like this, which is what I'm showing you. This is how I used to sand everything, by hand. I used to do it all like this. It's so much faster to do it with the Skill sander, and it doesn't make my shoulder hurt. I find my upper arm gets sore when I'm doing this. Not my lower arm, it's like my upper arm. Plus, I won't sand my fingertips off when I'm doing this. It's so much faster, especially having to do one in this version. I realize how much I've actually enjoyed using this. Now, I know some people use like a foot polisher type thing, and that works well, but for me, when I used it, it didn't really give me enough torque. It was too fine of a sanding. Works well for polishing, but I wanted a little more oomph to it. So that's why I looked for the Skill sander, or a different type of hand sander, like we would use if we were sanding wood or a car. The other reason I like this is because it's got a very fine point, and you can get right up to the tips of these. Or if you have a half and half pendant, I've used, on pendants like this, where I had a veneer on this side that I couldn't sand. It worked really well just to get right up to the edge, because it's a triangle and not a circle. So I like this one. I would definitely buy it again. I like this one. So I just wanted to tell you that while I was polishing these in the 600 grit. That's the only one I have to do by hand. I mean, the amount of time I have done these 3 pendants on camera, I had finished the other ones in the 320 and 600 or 400 grit. So it's so much faster, and it's less on my body. I mean, yeah, it's slightly heavy. I mean, it's not crazy heavy. I mean, it's less than a gallon of milk, but you have to hold it up, but you're not doing anything but dragging it along. So I really like it. So I just wanted to tell you guys about that, and then show you how you would obviously sand by hand if you were. And you could sand it this way. You could pick this up and sand this way. If they're thick enough, I just do this with it. Okay, and I know my camera's shaking because it's attached to my table. So I'm gonna continue sanding, and I'll be back. So now each one is sanded, and it's nice and smooth and flat and velvety to the touch. And you could go up to higher grits if you want to get a sheen this way, just from sanding. But I like to resin, so I feel like 1,000's enough sanding wise, and then I buff with my Dremel. Now, because I'm going to be the one wearing these, and I'm not going to do all of them. I'm not really in love with these ones, but until you finish them, you don't really know. I really like this side. I really do. I don't know why. So I'll probably resin this one, but I'm going to buff at least maybe all of them. I usually get them all to this point, and then they go in a box, and I save them if I'm going to give them as gift or anything. I have all kinds that I've done, and I have boxes and boxes of, or a box full of pendants that someday I can resin if I want to give them as gifts, but they're all done sanding. And that's the worst part, because you imagine if you were going to give a bunch of Christmas gifts and you had to sand them all because you didn't. Like, this one's done too. It's just got to be resined when it's ready. So I have a bunch that are ready to go, all sanded, but not resined, just because. So anyways, these need to be buffed. So I generally use my Dremel for buffing. It's a Dremel 4000. It's a refurbished Dremel that I got off of Amazon. It has a varying speed rather than just a high-low, because I found with the ones with high-low, the low is really low and the high is really high. So I like that this is variable, even though generally I work around speed 15. It has a lock button, but it's still low enough that you can actually choke up on it without hitting it, because on other ones that I've choked up on, I kept hitting the lock button, and that was super irritating because it'll stop it dead rotation while it's going, and it's not great for your machine. Obviously the on-off button. So I generally start with my 2 wheels. I do the orange and then the white. You can just use a white wheel, but I find I get better polish if I use both. So the way you do it is hit the lock button to open it, keep your finger on, put your bit in, twist it to tighten, my finger is still down, and then let up. Then it should be locked on and ready to go. Now I'm going to pull you over to my lap, because it's very difficult for me to do this with the camera only like 6 inches away from my table, and I need more room. You can use flexi shafts on these, but I don't like to have more cords lying around, so I don't. So here we go. I'm going to go. And I generally start off with a little more pressure, because you can actually trim with this. And that's how usually I trim my sides up. And then I gradually fade my pressure out. So I'm around speed 15, and I start off with a little more pressure. Something on it right there. I can't get it out. It's in the clay. You can go in circles. You can go in straight lines. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. When I first did this, I used it at a lot slower speed, but now I've had this guy for like 3 years. And I used to use it to trim glass and plastic for mosaics. Gouge mark right there that I'm going to try to get out. Oops, hang on, I just flung it. Which happens. Sometimes you fling them. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then I'll use it also to touch up my sides. So I'm choked up on it right now, and I'm using my thumb. And with light pressure, I'm just going to trim up my sides a little bit. And you can actually trim quite a bit with these. And I'm also going to round off this tip because it's a little too pointy. It's a little too fine for me to drill a hole in that. Okay. So that's just with the orange one. It's got a kind of a nice shine. Let's do the other side while I'm at it on camera. And on this one, this is the one I'll probably wear. I'll probably resin both sides, which I know I've shown before. Please check out my old videos. So say you're watching a video on YouTube, one of my videos, and you don't know where to find my older videos. So say you're watching one of my videos on YouTube, right? Right below the video when it's playing in a small version where you haven't enlarged it, my name should be there, Katie Gordon. Click on my name. It'll open up my profile screen, And then you can click on the tab videos, and all my videos will pop up. Go to some of my older ones, especially if you're new, because when I was learning and teaching these videos, I went into a lot of detail about certain aspects that I don't repeat in every single video. So you may learn a lot from those older videos. A lot of tips and tricks that I've learned over time. Okay? And I can tell a lot of people that have subscribed to me, some of my newer videos have like 10,000 views, and some of those videos only have like 500. So definitely check out, and they're pretty cool projects. Some of my older ones I like the most. So go ahead and check those old ones out. Especially around the holidays where I may not be posting as many videos. Okay, so there we go. We have an orange. And now let's do one side with a white and see. And the white's just finer than the orange, so I feel like I get a better shine. People also ask, why do you do all of this if you're just going to resin? Because if it looks nicer under the resin's like a magnifying glass. It's just going to look better after the resin, in my opinion. Now, you may have your own opinion on that, and you do whatever you're most comfortable with. Just my opinion. And you can obviously take more time with doing this if you're not on camera. You know, spend more time buffing until your heart's content. But out of all the wheels I've tried, these are my favorite too. And again, these are on my ambassador page. Now, if you don't know, I do make a little commission off of every sale that I recommend on Amazon. And because I don't have a Patreon account, that's a really good way to support me, to help me buy more products so I can do videos. So anyways, so see how much shinier? So this is just the orange, which is pretty good. The orange and white, even better. Now let's do just a white. A lot of people just use these white ones, right? Or they make a homemade one out of felt. Let's do just the white one. And let's compare it to just the orange and both. Now I'll most likely go back over this because I've done this before myself when I was first starting out. I would just use the white ones until I bought this set, and I really, really liked the results I got. So that's why I recommend this set. So these were both sanded to the same exact. Okay, just the orange, just the white. Now I feel like the orange takes off more grit. Orange and white, just the white. I still feel like it's shinier and the texture is better with the orange one and the white one. The glare's a lot more. So I like using both, and that's just me. It also feels smoother to the touch. So let me know what you think if you ever get both of them. Let me know if you think it's worth it or not, taking that couple extra seconds to do it. And they're not really expensive either. You get a big pack of them, and I've been using these for like 8 or 9 months. So the same ones. Okay, I'm going to finish buffing them all up, and I'll show you what they look like when I'm done. Okay, so now they're all sanded and buffed, and I could even get a higher shine if I would have sanded beyond 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, 35, 4,000. You can go up as high as you want. I just feel like this is shiny enough then to use resin. So again, these two, this is a distorted, a regular, are just one of the veneers I made with the ecru and the turquoise, and then the white band. And then these two are the ones that I used making a couple others as well. I really like that dark blue, light blue one. I really do. This is the back side of it. I really like that dark blue, light blue. This one didn't, between the gray and the green, didn't have enough contrast. So this will be the back side. This gray and green, it wasn't contrasted enough, which is why it didn't show up very well. I should have either had a lighter green or darker gray or even two different colors, but I went with it. Sorry, everybody's coming down. So what I'll do now is I will resin one of these. I do like this side too, but this one has both sides because this is just the backing. But I do like this one. So on this one, I think I'll resin both sides. This one I would just resin this front side because that's the only side I have showing, because that's not good enough. These I don't think I'm going to resin right now because I don't love these that much. So those will go in my box of spares, because I don't like to waste my resin if I'm not planning on wearing them anytime soon. Oop. But I still can't even decide on which one I like that I want to wear. I'm in a circle phase, and I have one more circle project with the extruder that I plan on doing, and then I should be out of my circle mode. And you could do all kinds of things with these. This is just a very simple veneer we made. So I'll decide which one I want to resin. I'll do one or the other, and you can see even the mica's in there more than in this one. You can't see the micas as much in that blue. So anyways, I'll finish these up. Okay, so rather than show you how to drill the holes, which I've done in many of my pendant tutorials, I figured I'd do a fast-forwarded version of me resining these, but I wanted to give you a little talk. So I have a how I resin video, but it was done a while back. So I have multiple resins here, and I have likes and dislikes of all of them. One, these are all UV resins. I prefer a UV resin over a regular resin just because I find, for me, it's one in my basement. Right now it's 57 degrees in my basement, and it's like 20 degrees outside. It's pretty cold out. It's an unfinished basement, like it's just rafters and concrete floors. I have 2 dogs. So my basement's dusty and dirty. Even if I covered it with like a box or a bowl or whatever, I could still see getting dust and resin. It'd probably take forever to cure with how cold it is down here. So for me, and I'm too impatient, waiting 24 hours or even 12 hours or whatever for resin to cure is not my ideal. So I like UV resin. I did start out with the tiny Pandora Light because I didn't know much about UV resin, and I wanted a resin that would work with polymer clay resins. So I just bought the tiny Pandora set, and it came with the light, it came with a nice brush, and it came with the deep shine that she has. Okay, and so that was my kit that I got. I did try her resin, and it's not a bad resin. I'm not saying any of these are bad resins, just not my preference. Hers does have more of a smell than others, I have to say. It reminds me of a nail salon, which isn't bad. It doesn't bother me too much. The next resin I got was the Easy Dome from RJ Crafts. Now, it is a more expensive resin, one of the more expensive resins, but not much more than these other two. But you can only get it from RJ Crafts, and I know Rhonda's been sick, so orders have been getting back, like set back. The other thing is hers is a 30-minute curing resin, which is great for thin pieces because it doesn't distort your pieces. The faster curing resins, to get them to dome, they suck in from the outside, so they cause your pendants to warp a little bit. So if that really bugs you, a little warping, do not use a quick curing resin. If you don't want it to warp at all, use a slow curing resin. You won't get any warping with that. This is a little warm. Yeah, I got a little warping on this one with a quick cure resin. You see how the ends tilted up a little bit? That does not bother me. That bothers some people. So again, that's going to be personal preference. I did both sides on this one. I'm just trying to find one that looks quite distorted. If I have any out here. No, I don't think I have one in front of me that looks distorted. Sorry, I don't have one to show you. But sometimes I get the pendants, the ends will kind of come up a little bit. So, but again, does not bother me. Her resin works well, other than I find it does give me a greasy finish. And at first, because this was the first resin I really used, I had no clue what that was. And I was like, it's not setting, it's not setting. You take a little alcohol to it, like 70, the regular isopropyl alcohol, and it's fine. If I took a 99 to it, I got rid of some of the shine. So don't do 99% alcohol, but just a regular alcohol, and this works fine. The deep shine, I have to say, I haven't used it as a doming resin, like to dome a piece. I just brushed it on a round bead or a round cabochon, which I don't know if I have here. Now, I did find that I got little bubbles on it. Even if I torched it, I still got little bubbles on them. So, this is one that I used, Tiny Pandora's Deep Shine. Sorry, there's something in that bin. But I don't know, can you see the kind of rippling I got there? There was just some water on it. But can you see the little bubbles I got? And even when I torched it, I couldn't get rid of them. So, again, play with it. People may love this one. I just haven't played with it quite enough because I don't have tons of it. The Easy Dome I do use. The Lisa Pavelka I got, it's very thick, so it might... Oh, actually, the RJ Crafts is pretty thin, so be careful with that. If you're new, you may get spillage, more spillage. And I do every time I go from a different one back to this one, I get spillage, because I forget how thin it is. The Lisa Pavelka is more like a honey consistency for me, or at least in this bottle, it's like honey, so it's thicker. It is a doming resin, but it does pull away from the edges quite a bit. So you're going to have to play with how much you put on, how slowly you cure it. Maybe just putting, some people say to keep it from pulling in, you just do an outside edge first and then fill in the middle. There's lots of tricks on it. Probably all of these have their own videos, so check them out. The next two I use these 99% of the time. 99% of the time. This one I started with first, the Decor ROM, and then actually the girlfriend that I met in Vermont that does clay, she gave me this because she had a few bottles of these and she wanted me to try it. I feel like they're both exactly the same. I really do. These can cause some distortion because they're quick curing. They set in like 2 to 4 minutes, both of them. They cure hard. They don't get a greasy finish. The ones I have, though someone just posted on my group, theirs is tacky. So I'm thinking it's not curing right. You do need at least a 36 watt. I'm not in high humidity. I know that affects some people's resin. Lisa Pavelka's takes, how long does this take to cure? Does it say it? Are you guys seeing it? It cures in minutes using direct sunlight or UV or fluorescent black light. Clay finishes, maybe glue. Does this say? Do you see a time on this? Spread with a toothpick, cure under UV lamp or direct sunlight. I'm not seeing how long it takes to cure it. Yeah, I'm really not seeing how long it takes to cure it. So I'm not quite sure. I think it took me, I left it in for 30. I tend to leave mine in for about a half hour anyways. But I use these two resins the most. These two. But I think they're pretty same. And they're really quite cheap for how much you get. I think it's like 20 bucks or maybe even 12 or something. They're really cheap. And they work fairly well for me. But you do get a little distortion because they cure in 3 or 4 minutes. So I'm going to use... they're about the same fullness. I'll probably use this one. Not that it matters. And I'm going to speed up the video and just show you how I resin. This one I'm going to resin both sides. And this one I'll probably just resin the front because I actually really like the front of this one. So I'll resin the front and then I'll show you in the video. I'll do the sides quickly. When I do both sides, I do the sides. And then I'm going to do the back. And so I will show you that. I also... use a silicone brush rather than a toothpick to spread. You can wipe it right off. I found that's way easier than a toothpick now. For a long time I was using a toothpick and I was like, hey dummy, you have these little silicone brushes. Why don't you use these? You don't have to keep buying toothpicks. I just have this foam. This is just foam that I got in something that I cut pieces of, and that's what I set it on. I got a big sheet, and I think it's on my ambassador page, of this pyramid silicone mat, and Someone said to me the other day, you're using it the wrong way. Yes, I know how it's supposed to be used. Yes, I prefer it using it that way. Okay, so everything I do is just my personal preference, not the way. I'm not holding a gun to your head and telling you to do it like that. So the way I set my pendants on are on the points here. Okay, so I put it like this and I balance my pendant on the points. Okay, now the person who said I did it wrong said you should put it this way. The reason why I don't do it this way is, say your resin starts to drip off the edge, right? What it's going to do, and you can even see where I've had resin drip off, it's going to follow these lines. And on the back of your pendant, you're going to have a bunch of square lines where the resin dripped under. When I put it on the points, as you can see, if I get some resin spilling off of my pendant off the edge, it goes down and it falls way away from my pendant. It gets away from my pendant. Nothing usually goes on the back. Though I might have a little drip, it doesn't smear the back. Whereas if it drips off, it's going to settle on this and then it's going to go underneath my pendant completely, and my pendant's going to have a whole bunch on the back. If it goes down in the crack here, I just pull it out. Okay, so that's why I do it this way. Okay, now the other thing I do use is a torch just to blow out any air bubbles that may come to the surface. I sometimes still get air bubbles, but you know, hey, it's resin, you get air bubbles. On regular resin where you mix two parts, some people just use a straw to blow it out. I can't seem to get the bubbles out of this with a straw with UV resin. I can't. So anyways, I'm going to do resin on these, and again, I'm going to speed it up. I'll pour a little bit on, spread it around, torch it a little bit on a low flame, get it under my light, and because I'm going to do multiple cures, I'll probably put it under my light for about 6 minutes, just a little longer. And then I'll do the sides another 6 minutes, and then I'll do the back another 6 minutes. And then I'll drill the holes, and I'll come back and show you what they look like completed. Because I've showed you how to drill the holes, I figured might as well this time I'll show you how to do the resining in kind of a sped up version. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and yeah. I do want to say right now, that resin was thick because it's cold in here. And I know 57 degrees isn't that cold, but in the middle of winter when it's only 20 degrees outside, 57 is pretty chilly in the house. I mean, it's like 80 degrees upstairs with our wood stove going, but down here it's pretty chilly. It made my resin a lot thicker consistency. When you heat it up, it definitely will smooth it out. Also, with other resins, some other resins, once I apply a flame to it, just a quick, it makes it really loose. So some can really run off when you apply a flame to it. But that was fine. And I was just kind of lightly tilting it in the light so I could see if I could see any bubbles, and making sure I got the whole coating. So I'm going to let that cure, and in a few minutes I will be back and do another layer. So this one's out and the top layer is done. I just wanted to show you the little bit of, so this is a pretty thin pendant too. I wanted to show you the little bit of distortion it got. So can you see how the tip's up a little bit, the edges? If I lay it on something flat, maybe I can tilt that up to you. You see how it's a little distorted? So if that really bugs you, great, but it doesn't really bother me at all when I'm wearing it. You know, it really doesn't bother me at all. But that's what a quick cure resin will do. You can kind of see it on the back too, that the center is more bowed. Again, if that bugs you, do both sides because that may help push it a little more flat. Also, when I take it out of my light and it's still a little warm, I'll kind of hold it flat or push with a tile on it, and that will help it. But now I'm going to resin the sides and the back. The other one's still in the light. So I'll do the sides really quick with just a thin layer. And I usually take, I have a little container. And with the Tiny Pandora kit, you get this little brush. And you get some measuring cups. And I use the measuring cups, the back side, to pour a little resin on. I just pour a little resin on this side. And that's what I scoop off with my silicone. So I'm going to do that. And again, I will be back. And there they are, both finished. And because I did both sides, there really is no distortion anymore. I did get a little bubble of resin down here where it kind of pooled a little bit, but it didn't go off, which is nice, but it's a little thicker right there, you can kind of see. But it didn't go off the side, so I'm good with that. It just gave me a little more support around the hole. But now I'll do the intro, and you'll be able to see them in that.